It is a cold January morning in 1944. The Mediterranean sky is streaked with vapor trails and the far crackle of anti-aircraft fire. Below, along a narrow strip of Italian coast called Anzio, tens of thousands of Allied soldiers cling to a beachhead that will not expand. And above them, a squadron of American pilots is about to make history that their country has spent decades refusing to imagine. They are the men of the 99th Fighter Squadron, the first African-American aviators trained by the United States Army Air Forces. They have come out of a program born at Tuskegee, Alabama in 1941, an experiment many senior officers openly expected to fail. Instead, the graduates have flown across the Atlantic, through North Africa, and into the Italian campaign. And here, over the ridges above Anzio, they will finally prove what the War Department has long doubted. The story begins years earlier, in the segregated America of the late 1930s. Black Americans are barred from military aviation, deemed unsuited by a 1925 Army War College report that has hardened into policy. Civil rights leaders, the black press, and the NAACP push relentlessly for change. In 1941, under pressure from the Roosevelt administration, the Army Air Corps agrees to train black pilots at a segregated field outside Tuskegee, Alabama. The first class enters training in July 1941. Among them is Captain Benjamin O. Davis, Jr., a West Point graduate who spent 4 years there in silence, shunned by white classmates. Only 5 of the 13 original cadets earn their wings in March 1942. They are the seed of what will grow into nearly 1,000 black military pilots by the war's end. The 99th Fighter Squadron ships out for North Africa in April 1943. They arrive in Casablanca as strangers to the war and strangers to their fellow airmen. Assigned to the 33rd Fighter Group under Colonel William Momia, they fly ground attack missions in P-40 Warhawks over Sicily and southern Italy. Their equipment is worn, their orientation minimal, and their reception often chilly. In September 1943, a scathing report reaches Washington. Colonel Momia accuses the 99th of lacking aggressiveness and recommends their removal from combat. The story leaks to Time magazine, and the future of every black airman in the Army hangs on the response. Colonel Davis is summoned to the War Department, where he defends his men before a committee that could end the experiment. Davis speaks with the calm precision of a soldier who has rehearsed this moment his entire life. He points out that his pilots have flown fewer missions, in older aircraft, with less training time than their white counterparts. The Army orders a statistical study of the squadron's performance. The results, quietly released, show the 99th's record is equal to that of comparable white units. While the study is being compiled, the war in Italy grinds forward. In January 1944, Allied commanders launch Operation Shingle, an amphibious landing at Anzio, 30 miles behind German lines. The goal is to outflank the winter line and race to Rome. Instead, the beachhead becomes a killing ground, ringed by German artillery on the Alban Hills. The Luftwaffe, though depleted, still contests the skies over Anzio. Focke-Wulf 190s and Messerschmitt 109s streak in low across the water, hunting transports and strafing troops pinned in shallow foxholes. Allied fighter squadrons rotate constantly over the beachhead. On the 27th of January, 1944, the 99th Fighter Squadron is ordered to patrol the sector at dawn. The pilots rise before first light at their airfield near Capodichino. They are led that morning by Captain Clarence Jameson and fly 16 P-40 Warhawks, aircraft already considered obsolete by 1944 standards. Over Anzio, they climb into a bright, cold sky. Ahead of them, low over the water, they spot a formation of 15 Focke-Wulf 190s bearing down on Allied shipping. What follows is a dogfight of stunning ferocity. Lieutenant Willie Ashley Jr. fires the opening burst and sends the first German fighter smoking into the sea. Lieutenants Clarence Allen and Charles Bailey each claim another, followed by Lieutenants Lemuel Custis, Wilson Eagleson and Leon Roberts. In minutes, 5 enemy aircraft are destroyed and 3 more damaged, without a single loss to the 99th. The next day, the 99th returns to the Anzio skies. Once again, German fighters swarm the beachhead, and once again the pilots of Tuskegee meet them. Lieutenant Robert Dees downs a Focke-Wulf 190 in a diving turn. By the end of the 28th of January, the squadron has added 4 more confirmed kills to its tally. In 2 days over Anzio, the 99th Fighter Squadron destroys 12 enemy aircraft. It is a performance no other P-40 unit in the theatre matches that week. The news is picked up by the Associated Press, by the Pittsburgh Courier, by the Chicago Defender. In black communities across the United States, families cut the headlines from newspapers and pin them to kitchen walls. The victories over Anzio silenced the report that had nearly destroyed the squadron. General Henry Arnold, Chief of the Army Air Forces, quietly shelves the recommendation for the 99th's disbandment. Instead, the unit is folded into the 332nd Fighter Group, commanded by Colonel Benjamin Davis. By the summer of 1944, the group is flying escort missions from Ramitelli Airfield on the Adriatic coast. There, the pilots transition to the P-47 Thunderbolt and finally, in July 1944, to the sleek P-51 Mustang. They paint the tails of their aircraft a distinctive crimson. To the bomber crews of the 15th Air Force, they become known simply as the Red Tails. Their reputation for close, disciplined escort spreads through every bomb group in the Mediterranean. Over the next 11 months, the 332nd Fighter Group flies more than 15,000 sorties. They escort heavy bombers to targets in Germany, Austria, Romania and Czechoslovakia. On the 24th of March 1945, they fly a 1,600-mile round trip to Berlin, shooting down 3 German Me-262 jet fighters. 66 Tuskegee Airmen die in combat before the war ends. Yet the war does not end their struggle. Returning home in 1945, the pilots are met at southern train stations by signs directing them to coloured waiting rooms. German prisoners of war, held nearby, are served at counters that refuse to seat American officers in uniform. The men who broke the sky over Anzio come back to a country that still refuses to break its own segregation. But the record they built is undeniable. In 1948, President Harry Truman signs Executive Order 9981, ending racial segregation in the armed forces. The order cites, among its justifications, the wartime performance of black units, with the Tuskegee Airmen foremost among them. Benjamin Davis will rise to become the first African-American general in the United States Air Force. In 2007, more than 6 decades after Anzio, the surviving Tuskegee Airmen are summoned to the Capitol Rotunda. There, President George W. Bush presents them with the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor the nation can bestow. Many are in their 80s and 90s, seated in wheelchairs, wearing the crimson jackets of their old squadrons. The president salutes them and asks their forgiveness on behalf of the country. It is a cold January morning in 1944, and 16 young men climb into obsolete fighters to prove what should have needed no proving. Over the beaches of Anzio, they answer a question their nation had refused to ask honestly. In 2 days of combat, they change the trajectory of American military history. And the red tails they will one day paint on their Mustangs are already in that first dawn, a promise written in the sky.